Alright, so we're given the equation Fe2O3 plus CO gives you Fe and CO2. So X1 is going to represent the number of Fe2O3 molecules, X2 is going to represent the number of CO molecules, X3 is going to represent the number of Fe molecules, and X4 is going to represent the number of CO2 molecules. So now we write down our equation for each one of these variables. So for Fe atoms in each molecule, so there's 2 in X1, there's 0 in X2, there's -1 in X1 because we move it over to the other side, and then there's 0 in X4. And then for oxygen, there's 3 in X1, 1 in X2, none in X3, and then 2, which is a minus, in X4. And then same thing, carbon, 0 in X1, 1 in X2, none in X3, and -2 in X4. So now we put this equation into our matrices, and to get from this step to this step, we have to divide our row 1 by 2, so we get 1, 0, -1 over 2, and 0. We want this to be as low as we can so that it makes our last steps a little bit easier. Next we do our row 2 minus 3 times R1, which gets our 0 where we want it to be so that we can solve for our first line equation. Now we go row 3 minus R2, which gives us a 0 right here, which again helps us solve for for oxygens. And now we divide by 3 over 2 in order to get 1 at the bottom here, which again makes it easier to solve. Now we try to get rid of these 2 zeros by going all the way up here. But first we have to subtract row 3 over 2 R3 from row 2, which would give us the 0 here. And now if we do R1 minus -1/2 of R3, which gives us a 0 here. So now we have our little line of coefficients. So from this we know that X1 equals 1 over 3 X4, because we can just move it to the other side now in our equation, which means, and we're going to sub in T for X4. So X1 equals 1 over 3 T, multiplied by 3, every term by 3 once we get there. Sorry, and then X2 equals X4, so that means X2 just equals T. X3 equals 2 over 3 X4, which is X3 equals 2 over 3T. And then X4 equals T, which equals 1. So now, since we realize that we have some difficult numbers to use, we can multiply everything by 3. So this becomes just T, X2 becomes 3T, X3 becomes 2T, X4 becomes 3. Now we sub in T equals 1 for every 1. So T is just 1, so it equals 1. Then 3T, so it equals 3 times 1, which is 3. And then X3 is 2T, 2 times 1 is 2, X4 is 3, which is just 3 still. So now we can write down our coefficients. So X1 is 1 Fe2O3, X2 is 3, so 3 CO, and then gives you 2 from X3 is 2 Fe, and then from X4 is just 1, so 1. Well, actually, sorry, CO2 is actually 3. CO2 is actually 3.
Let's see, I thought it was over, but you weren't done.
Okay, so we're given the equation C7H8 plus HNO3 gives you C7H5O6N3 plus H2O, and we're trying to figure out the coefficients of each term of each molecule so that the equation is equal. Q, can you please stop moving your bottle towards my camera? So X1 will represent the number of C7H8 molecules, X2 will represent the number of HNO3 molecules, X3 will represent the number of C7H5O6N3 molecules, and X4 will represent the number of H2O molecules. So let's write out our equation. So C for the carbon in each one, so it's 7 in X1 and -7 in X3 because it's on the other side of the equal sign. For hydrogen, it's 8x1 plus x2 minus 5x3 minus 2x4. Nitrogen, x2 minus 3x3. And oxygen is 3x2 minus 6x3 minus x4. So now we go into our matrices and we plug in these coefficients for each. So right now we can see that we can divide this one by 7. So we divide it by 7 to get 1, 0, -1, and 0. And from there we do R2 minus A times this will give us our 0 here. So now we have all our zeros in the first column, which is what we want. Then you want zeros here, here, and here. So to get this, we go R3 minus R2. And then in our next one, we divide this column by 6 to get this to a nice even 1. And then we do R4 minus 3R2. So now we got our zeros in where we want here. Now we need zeros here, here, and here. So now we go R1 minus 1 R3, and we divide our row 4 by 15. So now we have our zeros everywhere we want, but we still have one zero that we need to get rid of right here. So we go R2 minus 3 R3 to get rid of it, and now we're on our last one, and now we do R4 minus R3, which will give us our 0 in our last one. So now we see that we have all zeros here, and we have our 1s here. So now we can just move these to the other side and solve. So x1 equals 1/3 x4, which is like basically saying 1/3t. So to try to get this to an even coefficient, without a fraction, we multiply by 3, which will give us t, and then so we sub in 1 for t, and that equals 1. x2, we have it equaling x4, so it's basically equaling t, times 3, since we multiply this one by 3, we get 3t, so 3 is the coefficient for that one. x3 equals 1/3 x4, 1/3t, times 3 gives you t, which you sub in for 1, it gives you 1. x4 is equal to t, so which is basically equal to 1. 1 times 3 is 3. And now we sub in our coefficient. So we have 1 C7H8 plus 3 HNO3 gives you 1 C7H5 O6N3 and 3 H2O.
Which was feedback.